Once upon a time, in a town known for its Friday night lights and basketball fever, lived a young man named Marcus. Marcus wasn't just any kid, he was the star of Northwood High's basketball team, the Wolverines. When Marcus stepped onto the court, the crowd roared. He could dribble like a magician, pass with pinpoint accuracy, and sink three-pointers as if it were the easiest thing in the world. Everyone knew Marcus would go far. He was the hero of every game, the kid whose poster hung on bedroom walls, the name whispered with admiration in the hallways. Life was a highlight reel of slam dunks and cheering fans. Marcus loved the thrill of the game, the camaraderie of his teammates, and the feeling of victory. He thought basketball was everything. But there was another side to Marcus's life, a side he often ignored, his schoolwork. While he shone on the court, his grades were slipping. Tests went unstudied for, homework lay forgotten at the bottom of his backpack, and classes became background noise to his daydreams of NBA stardom. He figured as long as he was good at basketball, everything else would fall into place. After all, who needed algebra when you could score 30 points a game? His teachers tried to warn him. Marcus, they'd say, basketball is important, but your education is even more so. You need to focus on your studies. But Marcus would just nod and smile, already thinking about the next game. He believed his talent would carry him through. He felt he was invincible, a star destined for greatness, and school was just a hurdle to jump over on his way to the big leagues. He truly believed he could make it to the NBA. Little did he know, life had a lesson waiting for him, a lesson that would change everything. The first report card of the semester arrived, and it was a disaster. A bright red F glared back at Marcus from his math grade, followed by a D in English and a barely passing C in history. Only gym class earned him an A, but that hardly mattered now. The news spread quickly through the school. Whispers followed him in the hallways, and even his teammates seemed to look at him differently. His teachers, who had tried so hard to help him, were deeply disappointed. Mrs. Davison, his English teacher, sighed as she called him aside after class. "Marcus," she said gently, "you have so much potential. It's a shame to see you throw it away like this." She reminded him of the importance of a good education, even for athletes. Mr. Evans, his math teacher, was more direct. "Your grades are unacceptable," he said sternly. "If you don't improve, you won't be eligible to play basketball." Even the principal, Mr. Thompson, got involved. He summoned Marcus to his office for a serious talk. "Marcus," he began, "we value your contributions to the basketball team, but we also have a responsibility to ensure all our students receive a quality education. Your grades are simply not up to par." He warned Marcus that if his grades didn't improve drastically, he would face serious consequences, including suspension from the team and even expulsion from school. Marcus listened, but his mind was elsewhere. He heard their words, but they didn't truly sink in. He still believed he could turn things around with a last-minute effort. He promised to study harder, to pay more attention in class, but deep down, he knew he was just saying what they wanted to hear. Basketball remained his priority, and school was still just an obstacle in his path. The teachers and the principal were now watching him closely, and the pressure was mounting. He was skating on thin ice, and the cracks were starting to show. The pressure mounted as the semester wore on. Marcus tried to cram before tests, pulling all-nighters fueled by sugary snacks and nervous energy. But his efforts were half-hearted, and his understanding remained superficial. He was more focused on remembering facts for the test than actually learning the material. One day, during a crucial history exam, Marcus felt a wave of panic wash over him. He hadn't studied nearly enough, and the questions seemed like a foreign language. Desperate, he glanced around the room, his eyes darting from student to student. He spotted Sarah, the class brain, sitting a few rows ahead. In a moment of weakness, he leaned forward and tried to peek at her answer sheet. Unfortunately for Marcus, Mr. Evans, who was proctoring the exam, had been watching him closely. Mr. Evans saw exactly what Marcus did. With a sigh of disappointment, Mr. Evans walked over to Marcus's desk. "Marcus," he said quietly, "please come with me." Marcus's heart sank. He knew what was coming. He followed Mr. Evans to the principal's office, where he was met with the grim faces of Mr. Thompson and Mrs. Davison. They had already reviewed the evidence, and there was no denying what had happened. "Marcus," Mr. Thompson said gravely, "cheating is a serious offense. We have no choice but to expel you from Northwood High." The words hit Marcus like a ton of bricks. Expelled. The word echoed in his mind, shattering his dreams of basketball glory. He tried to argue, to plead for another chance, but it was no use. The decision was final. As he walked out of the principal's office, the weight of his actions crashed down on him. His world, once filled with cheers and adulation, now felt empty and desolate. His biggest fear had come true. He was no longer a Wolverine. He was nothing. The days that followed were a blur of anger, sadness, and shame. Marcus retreated into himself, locking himself in his room and refusing to talk to anyone. The silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional muffled sob. He felt like his entire world had crumbled around him. He was angry at himself for being so foolish, for throwing away his future for a moment of desperation. He was angry at the school for not giving him another chance, for treating him like a criminal. And he was angry at the world for being so unfair. He missed his teammates, the roar of the crowd, the feeling of the ball in his hands. Basketball was more than just a game to him, it was his identity, his passion, his escape. Now, it was gone. The sadness was a heavy weight on his chest, a constant reminder of his failure. He missed his friends, the familiar faces in the hallways, the sense of belonging. He had let them down, and he knew it. He imagined what they were saying about him, the disappointment in their eyes. He felt isolated and alone, adrift in a sea of regret. The shame was the hardest to bear. He knew he had made a mistake, a big one. He had let down his family, his teachers, and his community. He had tarnished his reputation and jeopardized his future. He couldn't face anyone, couldn't look them in the eye. He felt like a pariah, an outcast, someone unworthy of forgiveness. His parents tried to reach out to him, to offer comfort and support, but he pushed them away. He wasn't ready to talk, wasn't ready to confront the reality of his situation. He needed time to grieve, to process his emotions, to figure out what to do next. He stayed in his room, replaying his mistakes over and over again in his head. He felt lost and hopeless, unsure of what the future held. The light at the end of the tunnel had gone out. One rainy afternoon, as Marcus stared blankly out his bedroom window, watching the droplets race down the glass, something shifted inside him. The anger and sadness were still there, but a tiny spark of something else began to flicker. He realized that wallowing in self-pity wasn't going to change anything. He couldn't undo what he had done, but he could choose what to do next. He thought about his dream of playing in the NBA. It seemed so distant now, almost impossible. But the thought of giving up on it completely was even more unbearable. He knew he had messed up, but maybe, just maybe, there was still a chance. Maybe he could find a way to redeem himself, to prove that he was more than just a basketball player, more than just a cheater. He remembered something his grandfather used to say, "It's not how you fall down that matters, it's how you get back up." The words resonated with him. He had fallen hard, but he wasn't broken. He still had his talent, his passion, and a burning desire to succeed. He stood up from his bed, his legs feeling shaky but his resolve firm. He walked over to his desk, which was covered in dust and forgotten textbooks. He picked up a book, opened it, and began to read. The words were difficult at first, but he persevered. He realized that learning wasn't as boring as he had always thought. It was challenging, yes, but also rewarding. He made a decision right then and there. He would work harder than he ever had before, both on and off the court. He would prove to himself, to his family, and to the world that he was capable of achieving his dreams, not just through talent alone, but through hard work and dedication. He would turn his setback into a comeback. The light at the end of the tunnel flickered back to life, brighter than ever before. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was ready to face the challenge. He was ready to rise. The first thing Marcus did was apologize to his parents. He told them he was sorry for letting them down and for pushing them away. He explained his plan to work hard and get back on track, both academically and athletically. His parents, relieved to see a change in him, embraced him and promised to support him every step of the way. Next, Marcus knew he needed help with his studies. He asked his parents if they could hire a tutor. They agreed, and soon, Marcus was meeting with Mrs. Johnson, a retired teacher with a reputation for turning struggling students into success stories. Mrs. Johnson was patient and understanding, but also firm and demanding. She helped Marcus create a structured study schedule, breaking down complex topics into manageable chunks. Marcus dedicated several hours each day to studying, focusing on the subjects he had struggled with the most. He started with the basics, building a solid foundation of knowledge. Mrs. Johnson taught him effective study techniques, such as note-taking, summarizing, and test-taking strategies. He actually began to enjoy learning, discovering the satisfaction of mastering new concepts and solving challenging problems. His days were long and demanding. He would wake up early to study before Mrs. Johnson arrived. After their tutoring sessions, he would spend hours working on homework and reviewing his notes. It was a far cry from his old life of skipping classes and cramming at the last minute. But he was determined to succeed. He knew that hard work was the only way to achieve his goals. He began to see the importance of discipline and perseverance. It wasn't just about basketball anymore, it was about becoming a better person, a more well-rounded individual. And he was committed to making that happen. He understood that a strong mind was just as important as a strong body. Even with his renewed focus on academics, Marcus never forgot about basketball. He knew that if he wanted to achieve his dream of playing in the NBA, he couldn't let his skills diminish. But without a team or a school to play for, he had to find other ways to train. He started by going to the local park. It wasn't the gleaming gymnasium he was used to, but it had a basketball court, and that was all that mattered. He would spend hours there, practicing his dribbling, shooting, and passing. He worked on his weaknesses, pushing himself to improve every day. He also found a mentor in Mr. Davis, an older gentleman who used to coach basketball at the community center. Mr. Davis saw the potential in Marcus and offered to help him refine his skills. They would meet several times a week, working on specific techniques and strategies. Mr. Davis emphasized the importance of discipline, teamwork, and sportsmanship, qualities that Marcus had often overlooked in the past. Mr. Davis taught Marcus new drills, helped him improve his shooting form, and showed him how to better anticipate his opponent's moves. He also encouraged Marcus to focus on his physical conditioning, emphasizing the importance of strength, speed, and endurance. Marcus began running every morning, lifting weights in his garage, and following a strict diet. He played pickup games with anyone who would play, honing his skills against different opponents. He learned to adapt to different playing styles and to be a more versatile player. He also learned to appreciate the value of teamwork, realizing that success wasn't just about individual talent but about working together towards a common goal. Even though he wasn't playing in organized games, Marcus was improving. He was becoming a more skilled, more disciplined, and more mature player. He was proving to himself that he could overcome adversity and achieve his dreams, one basket at a time. Basketball remained his passion, his outlet, and his driving force. It was a reminder of what he had lost, but also a symbol of what he could still achieve. He just had to keep working hard, keep pushing himself, and never give up. The road to redemption wasn't smooth. There were days when Marcus felt overwhelmed by the sheer amount of work he had to do. Balancing his studies with his basketball training was exhausting, and sometimes he wondered if he was pushing himself too hard. In math, he struggled with algebra, the same subject that had led to his downfall. He felt like he was banging his head against a wall, unable to grasp the concepts no matter how hard he tried. There were moments when he wanted to give up, to throw his textbook across the room and walk away. On the basketball court, he faced different challenges. He missed the camaraderie of his teammates, the thrill of playing in front of a crowd. Playing alone at the park could be lonely, and sometimes he doubted whether he was really improving. He compared himself to other players, wondering if he had lost his edge. There were also days when the memory of his expulsion haunted him. He would see former classmates in town, and they would look away, avoiding eye contact. He felt like he was wearing a scarlet letter, branded with shame and regret. The whispers and stares reminded him of his mistake and made him question whether he could ever truly redeem himself. Even Mrs. Johnson and Mr. Davis, his mentors, could be tough on him. They pushed him hard, demanding excellence and refusing to let him slack off. Their criticism, though well-intentioned, sometimes stung. He felt like he was constantly under pressure to perform, to prove himself worthy of their support. But through it all, Marcus persevered. He reminded himself of his goals, of his dream of playing in the NBA, of his desire to make his family proud. He refused to let the setbacks and challenges defeat him. He learned to embrace the struggle, to see it as an opportunity for growth. He knew that success wouldn't come easy, but he was willing to work for it. He learned that failure wasn't the end, but simply a stepping stone on the path to achievement. He kept pushing, kept striving, and kept believing in himself, even when it was hard. During those difficult times, Marcus relied heavily on the support of his family and friends. His parents, who had initially been disappointed and angry, became his biggest cheerleaders. They encouraged him to keep going, reminding him of his strengths and his potential. They attended his pickup games at the park, cheering him on from the sidelines. They helped him with his homework, quizzing him on vocabulary words and helping him solve math problems. They provided him with a safe and loving environment where he could focus on his goals. His friends, too, played a crucial role in his recovery. Initially, some of them had been hesitant to associate with him, unsure of how to react to his expulsion. But as they saw the effort he was putting in, they began to rally around him. They offered words of encouragement, invited him to hang out, and reminded him that they still believed in him. Even some of his former teammates from Northwood High reached out to him. They told him they missed playing with him and that they admired his determination to turn his life around. They invited him to join them for informal practices, giving him a chance to stay connected to the sport he loved. Mrs. Johnson and Mr. Davis also provided unwavering support. They were more than just mentors, they were also friends. They listened to his concerns, offered advice, and celebrated his successes. They reminded him that he wasn't alone and that they were there to help him every step of the way. His grandfather, who had always been a source of wisdom and inspiration, continued to offer guidance. He reminded Marcus of the importance of character, integrity, and resilience. He told him that true success wasn't just about achieving goals but about becoming a better person. With the love and support of his family and friends, Marcus found the strength to overcome his challenges and setbacks. He realized that he wasn't alone on his journey and that he had a network of people who believed in him and wanted to see him succeed. Their encouragement fueled his determination and helped him stay focused on his goals. He learned the true meaning of friendship and the power of unconditional love. Slowly but surely, Marcus began to see the fruits of his labor. His grades started to climb. He went from failing math to earning a solid C, then a B, and finally an A. English, which had once been a source of frustration, became a subject he enjoyed. He discovered a love for reading and writing, and his essays began to earn praise from Mrs. Johnson. History, which had led to his downfall, now fascinated him. He realized that understanding the past could help him make better decisions in the future. He was no longer just memorizing facts, he was actually learning. He understood the concepts, could apply them to different situations, and could explain them to others. He felt a sense of accomplishment and pride that he had never experienced before. He began to take tests with confidence, knowing that he had prepared thoroughly and that he understood the material. He no longer felt the need to cheat or to rely on shortcuts. He had learned the value of hard work and the satisfaction of earning his own success. His parents were overjoyed by his progress. They saw the change in him, not just in his grades but in his attitude and his demeanor. He was more confident, more responsible, and more engaged. They knew that he had learned a valuable lesson and that he was on the right track. Mrs. Johnson was also thrilled with his improvement. She had seen many students come and go, but Marcus was different. He had the talent and the potential, but he also had the determination and the work ethic to succeed. She knew that he was capable of achieving great things. Marcus's academic transformation was a testament to his hard work, dedication, and perseverance. He had proven to himself and to others that he could overcome adversity and achieve his goals, not just on the basketball court but in the classroom as well. He understood that education was the key to unlocking his full potential and that a strong mind was just as important as a strong body. He was finally on the path to becoming the well-rounded individual he had always aspired to be. As Marcus excelled in his studies, his basketball skills also continued to improve. Mr. Davis pushed him to his limits, helping him refine his technique and develop new strategies. Marcus's shooting became more accurate, his dribbling more fluid, and his passing more precise. He also worked tirelessly on his physical conditioning, building strength, speed, and endurance. He began to dominate the pickup games at the park, showcasing his improved skills and athleticism. He played with a newfound confidence and swagger, but also with a greater sense of humility and sportsmanship. He understood that success wasn't just about winning but about playing the game the right way. Mr. Davis noticed the change in Marcus, not just in his skills but in his attitude. He was becoming a more complete player, a true leader, and a role model for others. He had learned from his mistakes and had emerged stronger and more determined than ever before. He started participating in local basketball tournaments, playing for a community team. He quickly became the star player, leading his team to victory after victory. His performances caught the attention of local scouts, who were impressed by his talent and his work ethic. He received invitations to participate in basketball camps and showcases, where he had the opportunity to compete against some of the best young players in the region. He held his own, proving that he belonged among the elite. He impressed the scouts with his skills, his athleticism, and his coachability. Word of Marcus's comeback spread throughout the basketball community. People began to talk about his transformation, about his determination to overcome adversity and achieve his dreams. He became an inspiration to others, a symbol of hope and resilience. He had proven that it was possible to turn a setback into a comeback and that with hard work, dedication, and perseverance, anything was possible. He was ready to take the next step in his journey, confident that he had what it takes to succeed. With his improved grades and his impressive basketball skills, Marcus was ready to re-enroll in high school. He applied to several schools in the area, highlighting his academic achievements and his basketball accomplishments. He explained his past mistakes and emphasized his commitment to turning his life around. After a series of interviews and evaluations, he was accepted into Crestwood High, a school known for its strong academic program and its competitive basketball team. He was thrilled to have another chance to prove himself, both in the classroom and on the court. He entered Crestwood with a sense of purpose and determination. He knew that he had to work hard to earn the respect of his teachers and his teammates. He was no longer the arrogant and entitled player he had once been. He was humble, grateful, and eager to learn. He excelled in his classes, earning top grades and participating actively in discussions. He impressed his teachers with his intelligence, his work ethic, and his maturity. He was a model student, a far cry from the troubled teen he had once been. On the basketball court, he quickly established himself as a star player. He led his team to victory after victory, showcasing his improved skills and athleticism. He was a team player, a leader, and a role model for his teammates. He played with passion, intensity, and sportsmanship. He earned the respect of his coach, his teammates, and his fans. He was no longer just a basketball player, he was also a student, a leader, and a role model. He had proven that he was capable of achieving great things, not just in sports but in all aspects of his life. He was finally on the path to fulfilling his full potential. His hard work had paid off, and he was ready to take on any challenge that came his way. The future was bright, and Marcus was ready to shine. Marcus's success at Crestwood High didn't go unnoticed. College scouts from across the country began to attend his games, impressed by his skills, his athleticism, and his leadership. They also took note of his academic record, which was now impeccable. They saw in Marcus not just a talented basketball player but a well-rounded student-athlete with a bright future. He received letters and phone calls from college coaches, inviting him to visit their campuses and learn more about their basketball programs. He was overwhelmed by the attention, but he remained focused on his goals. He knew that choosing the right college was a crucial decision that would impact his future. He carefully researched each school, considering its academic reputation, its basketball program, and its overall environment. He visited several campuses, meeting with coaches, players, and professors. He wanted to find a school that would challenge him both academically and athletically, a place where he could grow and develop as a person. He consulted with his parents, his coaches, and his grandfather, seeking their advice and guidance. After weeks of careful consideration, he made his decision. He chose to attend the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, a school with a rich academic tradition and a storied basketball program. He was excited about the opportunity to play for a legendary coach, to compete against some of the best players in the country, and to pursue his academic interests at a top-ranked university. He enrolled at UCLA with a sense of purpose and determination. He knew that college would be even more challenging than high school, but he was ready to work hard and to make the most of his opportunity. He balanced his basketball commitments with his academic responsibilities, dedicating himself to both with equal passion and intensity. He excelled in his classes, earning high grades and participating actively in discussions. He impressed his professors with his intelligence, his work ethic, and his maturity. He was a role model for his classmates, demonstrating that it was possible to succeed both academically and athletically. On the basketball court, he quickly established himself as a star player. He led his team to victory after victory, showcasing his improved skills and athleticism. He was a team player, a leader, and a role model for his teammates. He played with passion, intensity, and sportsmanship. He earned the respect of his coach, his teammates, and his fans. He was no longer just a basketball player, he was also a student, a leader, and a role model. He had proven that he was capable of achieving great things, not just in sports but in all aspects of his life. He was finally on the path to fulfilling his full potential. His hard work had paid off, and he was ready to take on any challenge that came his way. The future was bright, and Marcus was ready to shine. He knew that the NBA was still a long way off, but he was confident that he could achieve his dream if he continued to work hard and to believe in himself. As Marcus continued to shine at UCLA, NBA scouts began to take notice. They were impressed by his all-around game, his leadership qualities, and his unwavering commitment to excellence. They saw in him a player who had the potential to make a significant impact at the professional level. He received invitations to participate in pre-draft workouts and interviews, giving him the opportunity to showcase his skills and his personality to NBA teams. He prepared meticulously for each workout, working on his strengths and addressing his weaknesses. He studied film, analyzed his opponents, and developed strategies to maximize his performance. During the interviews, he was honest and open about his past mistakes, emphasizing the lessons he had learned and the growth he had experienced. He demonstrated his maturity, his humility, and his unwavering determination to succeed. He impressed the team executives with his intelligence, his work ethic, and his character. He consulted with his coaches, his mentors, and his family, seeking their advice and guidance. He knew that the decision to declare for the NBA draft was a significant one, and he wanted to make sure that he was making the right choice. After careful consideration, he made his decision. He announced that he would be declaring for the NBA draft, foregoing his remaining college eligibility. He was confident that he was ready to take the next step in his career and to pursue his dream of playing in the NBA. His announcement generated a buzz throughout the basketball world. Scouts and analysts debated his potential, projecting him as a lottery pick or a late first-round selection. His story of redemption resonated with fans and media alike. He had overcome adversity, transformed himself into a well-rounded student-athlete, and was now on the verge of achieving his ultimate goal. The stage was set for draft night, a night that would change his life forever. Draft night arrived, filled with anticipation and excitement. Marcus, surrounded by his family and friends, sat nervously in the green room, waiting to hear his name called. He had worked tirelessly to reach this moment, and he couldn't help but feel a mix of anxiety and hope. The commissioner stepped onto the stage and began to announce the draft picks. One by one, the names of talented young players were called, each fulfilling their dreams of playing in the NBA. Marcus watched intently, wondering when his turn would come. As the first round progressed, Marcus's anxiety grew. He had received positive feedback from several teams, but he knew that anything could happen on draft night. He tried to stay calm, reminding himself of his journey, of the challenges he had overcome, and of the support he had received from his loved ones. Finally, the moment arrived. With the 20th pick in the first round, the Chicago Bulls selected Marcus Thompson. A wave of relief and joy washed over him. His dream had come true. He hugged his family and friends, tears streaming down his face. He walked onto the stage, shook hands with the commissioner, and donned a Chicago Bulls hat. He couldn't believe it. He was an NBA player. He had made it. In his post-draft interview, Marcus expressed his gratitude and his determination to make the most of his opportunity. He thanked his family, his friends, his coaches, and his mentors for their unwavering support. He vowed to work hard, to be a good teammate, and to represent the Chicago Bulls with pride and honor. But Marcus's journey wasn't over. He knew that being drafted into the NBA was just the beginning. He had to prove himself on the court, to earn his place among the best players in the world. He approached his rookie season with the same work ethic and determination that had guided him throughout his life. He spent countless hours in the gym, honing his skills and improving his physical conditioning. He studied film, learning the nuances of the NBA game and analyzing his opponents. He listened to his coaches, absorbing their knowledge and implementing their strategies. He embraced his role on the team, whether it was as a starter or as a reserve. He played with passion, intensity, and sportsmanship. He was a team player, always putting the needs of the team before his own. He faced challenges and setbacks, as every rookie does. He struggled with the speed and physicality of the NBA game. He made mistakes, both on and off the court. But he never gave up. He learned from his experiences, he adjusted his game, and he continued to improve. He earned the respect of his teammates, his coaches, and his fans. He was no longer just a talented prospect, he was a valuable member of the Chicago Bulls. He had proven that he belonged in the NBA. And perhaps most importantly, Marcus never forgot the lessons he had learned along the way. He remembered the importance of hard work, discipline, and perseverance. He remembered the value of education, character, and integrity. He remembered the power of forgiveness, redemption, and second chances. He used his platform to inspire others, to share his story, and to encourage young people to pursue their dreams, both on and off the court. He became a role model, a symbol of hope, and a testament to the transformative power of education in sports. Marcus Thompson had come a long way from the troubled teen who had been expelled from Northwood High. He had overcome adversity, achieved his dreams, and become a better person in the process. He was finally living his best life, a life filled with purpose, passion, and integrity. Years passed, and Marcus's career in the NBA flourished. He became an all-star player, a champion, and a respected leader. He never forgot his roots, returning to his hometown to give back to the community. He established a foundation to support underprivileged youth, providing them with access to education, sports, and mentorship programs. He often visited Northwood High, sharing his story with the students and encouraging them to pursue their dreams. He reminded them that mistakes didn't have to define them and that with hard work, dedication, and a positive attitude, anything was possible. One day, Marcus received an invitation to speak at Northwood High's graduation ceremony. He was honored to accept. He stood before the graduating class, his heart filled with gratitude and pride. He shared his story, from his early days as a basketball star to his expulsion from school, to his journey of redemption and his success in the NBA. He emphasized the importance of education, character, and perseverance. He encouraged the graduates to embrace challenges, to learn from their mistakes, and to never give up on their dreams. He concluded his speech with a quote from his grandfather, "It's not how you fall down that matters, it's how you get back up." The audience erupted in applause. Marcus had come full circle. He had transformed from a troubled teen into a successful athlete, a respected leader, and a role model for others. He had proven that it was possible to overcome adversity and to achieve greatness. He had finally found his purpose in life, and he was living it to the fullest. Marcus's story became a legend, a reminder that even from the darkest of times, a bright future can be built through hard work, dedication, and a commitment to personal growth. He was living proof that everyone deserves a second chance. The end. Marcus stood on the court, the roar of the crowd washing over him. He looked up at the banner hanging from the rafters, a testament to his team's championship victory. He had achieved his ultimate goal, but he knew that his journey was far from over. He had a responsibility to use his platform to make a difference in the world, to inspire others to pursue their dreams, and to never give up on themselves. He thought back to his days at Northwood High, to his expulsion, to his journey of redemption. He realized that everything had happened for a reason. His mistakes had taught him valuable lessons, his challenges had made him stronger, and his successes had given him a platform to make a positive impact. He smiled, knowing that he had finally found his purpose in life. He was not just a basketball player, he was a leader, a role model, and a symbol of hope. He was living proof that anyone could overcome adversity and achieve greatness. As he walked off the court, he felt a sense of gratitude and fulfillment. He had achieved his dreams, but more importantly, he had become a better person in the process. He was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that he had the strength, the courage, and the support to overcome anything. Marcus's story is a timeless reminder that with hard work, dedication, and a belief in oneself, anything is possible. He lived happily ever after, inspiring generations to come. This space intentionally left blank. The journalist smiled warmly at Marcus, his pen poised above his notepad. "So, Marcus," he began, looking back on everything, "what's the biggest takeaway from your incredible journey?" Marcus leaned back in his chair, a thoughtful expression on his face. The bright lights of the television studio reflected in his eyes as he considered the question. It had been a long road, filled with triumphs and setbacks, joy and sorrow. He had learned so much along the way, not just about basketball but about life itself. "I think the most important thing I've learned," he began, his voice calm and steady, "is the power of hard work and dedication. There's no substitute for putting in the time and effort to achieve your goals, whether it's on the court or in the classroom." He paused, taking a deep breath. "But it's not just about working hard," he continued. "It's also about having a positive attitude, a willingness to learn from your mistakes, and the courage to never give up on your dreams." He thought back to his days at Northwood High, to his expulsion, to the shame and disappointment he had felt. "I made a lot of mistakes when I was younger," he admitted. "I let my talent go to my head, and I didn't take my education seriously. I thought basketball was everything, but I was wrong." He smiled, a hint of pride in his voice. "It wasn't until I lost everything that I realized the importance of academics, of character, and of giving back to the community. That's when I decided to change my life, to work hard, to get back on track, and to pursue my dreams with passion and purpose." He looked directly at the camera, his eyes filled with sincerity. I want young people to know that it's okay to make mistakes. We all do. What matters is how you respond to those mistakes. Do you let them define you, or do you use them as an opportunity to learn and grow? He paused again, searching for the right words. It's not about being perfect, he concluded. It's about being resilient, about never giving up on yourself, and about always striving to be the best version of yourself, both on and off the court. That's what really matters in the end. The journalist nodded, scribbling furiously in his notepad. Marcus had spoken from the heart, sharing his wisdom and his experience with the world. His journey had been a testament to the power of hard work, dedication, and a belief in oneself. He was a true champion, not just on the basketball court but in life as well.